Hello, welcome to Secret Identity. My name is Brent Edward Elric Birnbaum, joined by my co-host Troy motherfucking Alphonse Eric Bond.
I'm the Alchemist. Oh man! Before we get into it, I want to shout out Brent for. I think this is the second Christmas in a row. The man who doesn't celebrate Christmas got me a great Christmas gift. My man, the whiniest bitch in the entire subject matter of what we're talking about today, Mr. Edward Elric. Thank you so much. I want to collect the rest of these. These look so cool. The Azumi one.
I was honestly looking for Alphonse and I couldn't find him, so I'm like, all right, I'll go for Edward.
Alphonse, it doesn't look like he's even on the back of this.
Oh, well, that would make sense why I couldn't find.
Yeah.
There's literally only Edward and Envy available. I'm like, I'm not going to get you Envy.
I'm glad I get to start with this one, but I'm going to collect Envy. These look so cool.
I was like, Fullmetal Funko Pop. It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh, yeah, look at this. He's got Envy up there. He's funny. He's a bell to bowl up there. This guy's never happy. He always wants a little more. Even if he says he's happy for you, he's going to be turned around and take it from you.
Oh, yeah. And guys, because it is the holidays and Slater does celebrate.
Slater is out for this week and for the Superman episode, but she will be back. She's just actually going to celebrate with her family. I'm with the only family I have left.
Likewise. So Fullmetal was written and illustrated from 2001 to 2010 by Hiromu Arakawa. And the anime Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood came out from 2009 to 2010, follows her original manga. We want to specify we are talking about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I was going to say, can you tell everyone the difference between the two?
So the original Fullmetal Alchemist show in 2003, which I've actually never seen, I've heard is pretty good, but was coming out at the same time as the manga. And so it ended up surpassing the manga.
Like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. And it I think it goes off the rails, but in a much better way than Game of Thrones did. So it follows the Brotherhood up until Hughes' death. And then...
What's that, like 8 episodes?
Well, I think they expanded. I think they end up doing like 25 episodes, and they do a little more like kind of one-off adventures.
Oh, okay, because in the show, Hughes' death happened pretty early.
Yeah, it happens episode 10.
Got you. Okay, so continue. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. And so like, there's a whole like, for instance, there's no Ling, there's no Fu or Lanfan or like the entire nation of Jing. There's no Mai, and Father is not a character in it. It's a completely different villain. Like,
maybe I should watch this just to see the difference.
Yeah, no, it's the only thing that was kind of spoiled for me is the ending.
What's the ending?
It's wild. It's like it's a similar thing. They're facing a whole different villain. I think her name is like Dante, and she was like Hohenheim's wife or something like that. And anyway, they beat her, but like. Al,
with a stick.
Yeah. Al sacrifices himself, I think, kind of like this, and then Ed gets him back. But instead of like Ed giving up his alchemy, he ends up in our world during World War One. And it's just like, and so then they have a movie that came up after where like Al comes into our time to get Ed back.
And then what? The
I have no idea.
Powers lose the war.
And then a couple other things like Pride is Bradley's Pride in it instead of Wrath. Like,
oh, okay, all right. And then who's Wrath?
Wrath is basically, I think the homunculi, instead of creatures being created from Philosopher's Stones, they're creatures that were created during a failed transmutation.
Oh,
so Wrath is Azumi Curtis when she tried to resurrect her son.
Oh,
he becomes Wrath. And then Sloth is the Elric's mother. When they tried to resurrect her, she becomes Sloth.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'll give this a shot.
It's supposed to be pretty good, but like, yeah. But it's also like, but you're missing so many, like no Olivier Armstrong, like.
Yeah, every character, like every good anime I've found, comes in and they may not have been, like every time I hit about episode. Every time I'm on the third anime, but every time I hit like episode 20, I'm like, I haven't even met some of the best characters yet.
Oh yeah,
and I love that about anime and manga. Like usually in American TV, all the characters are established within the first 10 episodes, and then you're just riding with them forever. Yeah. I love when new characters pop up.
Rolling.
They Armstrong in their Briggs troops. They are the strongest in Xerxes.
Trying to catch me riding Xerxes.
Everybody's in Demetrius. I'm dreaming of a white mistress. This character, like a Titan, has a whiny protagonist, a whiny little bitch who I could not stand, but I ended up loving, and I did love. Like the last scene in the show is, him being like, yeah, I exchanged half of my life for yours.
Yeah.
And the whole Winry thing. I love it. It was so great. And I love when the show is over and I'm like, oh, that was it. I had enough, but I kind of want more.
Of course. Like I would love to see an epilogue of like I would love
those
chimeras that join the circus.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they did that. I also fair warning, Brent. We watched the first 3 episodes, and then I think it was episode 4. That's the Chimera
I had to give you the warning.
You gave me a huge warning, and you were like, it honestly might be worse than episode 6 of the Penguin, or whichever one you find out about Sophia.
Yeah.
And I watched that on the train, bright and early on election day. Maybe the reason why things didn't go the way I wanted them to.
I always give that recommendation to my friends who watch the show. I say, this is a masterpiece. You just got to get through episode 4.
And before we get to episode 4, who are the characters we're dealing with?
Ooh, good transition.
Oh, call me Caitlyn Jenner.
Why? Because I want to bang you?
Yeah, baby.
Yes. Yeah.
We stand here amidst my achievements.
Sorry. Protagonists and allies. So these are the heroes of the story. So we have Edward Elric, the elder Elric brother and state alchemist, striving to restore his and his brother's body. So basically, there we go, Edward himself.
There we go.
Prior to the start of the series, Edward and his brother Alphonse, who's the other main character, Edward's younger brother, whose soul is bonded to a suit of armor, they try to resurrect their mother using alchemy, and that is the biggest taboo in alchemy because this whole show is dictated
Other
by
than getting your sister stuck in the dryer.
stepsister.
Stepsister. Either way, it's taboo, kid. I don't want to know your truth.
The law of equivalent exchange is kind of the thesis of the show. To create or obtain something, an alchemist must sacrifice something of equal value.
Yes.
But you are not allowed to try to resurrect humans that died. But Ed and Alphonse, their dads left them. Their mom is dead. They just want to do anything to get their mom back, and it blows up in their face.
Literally.
And
it looks like she did too.
Oh my God.
Blew up so bad they lost an arm.
Ed loses his arm. Alphonse disappears, and Ed loses a leg.
A leg and an arm, right?
Yeah, because he loses the leg, and then he makes a deal with the essence of alchemy. He's just like, please bring my brother back. I'll give up my arm, and so he does.
And he cuts off his arm and uses the blood to make the seal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how.
How did he lose his? It was just collateral damage.
Yeah. So Alphonse lost his whole body for doing the taboo. Ed only lost his leg.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions.
Oh, no worries. Because when they did the taboo, they see the door of truth, which is the essence of everything. And it's just monitored by this being Truth, who's essentially God.
Truth is probably my favorite character.
Truth is such a cool character.
He's Truth is he, she, whatever. They're not in it a lot, but the episodes they are seem to be the most poignant, story shifting, and character goalpost moving than any. So I don't go nowhere when Truth is on screen, and also just kind of scary to look at.
So scary! Oh my God! With that weird grin.
Like it has not. It's almost like the first homunculus, like where you don't. It never really. Whenever it smiles, it's very scary.
You mean Father before he's in yes.
And when it's not smiling, it's still as scary. And you're just waiting for it to smile. You're waiting to see the eye. That's sort of how I felt about Truth. You know, I was like, oh my God. But also you're like, whereas Father was like complete darkness in a flask, Truth was complete light surrounded by little pixels of dark. So I definitely saw a contrast there.
Right.
And I'm jumping ahead of myself.
No, totally.
But I love Truth.
Because Truth isn't villainous. Truth just is. Dark side is.
Dark side is. Oh, I got some thoughts about that dude too to tell you on the next episode.
Oh boy, I know. Next is Winry Rockwell, the Elric's childhood friend and automel mechanic. So she's the one who actually gives Ed the arm and the leg that he uses.
I love the little names for stuff in anime, like automel.
Me too.
What was the name of the ODM gear in Titan?
ODM gear.
Yeah. I should have taken a bigger break.
What was the name of the guy at first?
Then we got fan favorite, Colonel Roy Mustang.
Oh,
the state alchemist.
State alchemist.
He's a state alchemist, Marge. Colonel Mustang. Oh, I got him stuck between my teeth. Only I told you not to eat all those popcorn colonels. Marge.
Worst powers ever.
It's the law of equivalent exchange, Marge. I give them a full belly. They take some of my teeth.
Frankly, I would do better as the ice alchemist.
Yeah, who's Mustang? The Levi of the show.
He is the Levi of the show, but he's taller. He's got fire abilities. He's aiming to become the Führer. He wants to reform Amestries. He is the mentor to Ed and Alphonse, and he is just freaking goated, man.
Yeah, I feel like in the death of... He's a pretty serious character. You could tell... One of the things that I love, and you could tell a lot about characters in this show, is how they treat Ed as being, you know, a child alchemist essentially, but everyone, Ed never really comes up. The only thing that ever really comes up is his size, which of course he really bothers him, but it really doesn't bother him whenever anyone brings up how young he is because he wears it like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And everybody within the military, certainly ranking officers, seem to have a camaraderie with him as if they're equal, you know, or it's like a little brother relationship. Like a little brother you have to take to the lake, but you also want him to be the big brother.
I see the potential.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved the way Levi never really gave Aaron Yeager an inch because he didn't really trust him, but he also sort of did. And then by the end, he thought Aaron was a pretentious snob who made a lot of bad mistakes and was responsible.
You know, like murdering,
like a genocide. That was like not the worst thing about that guy. I think the worst thing would be wiping out 80% of the population. Maybe after you attack on Titan, you send the Red Cross to Titan.
Someone commented on our Titan episode. They're like, "How could you compare Aaron Yeager to the narcissist Walter White?" I was like, "Hold up." I'm like. Yeah, Walter White. Hold up. Well, Walter White's a douchebag, but like, what did Walter White do? He shot 2 drug dealers in the head, and Aaron Yeager only murdered 80% of the planet.
In fairness, Walter had a wife.
Walter, yes, he did have. I guess Walter is a narcissist, which makes him way worse than a guy who murdered 80% of
children. The planet. Walter only got them sick with the lily of the valley.
Exactly.
Aaron stomped on their Persian heads.
And Brock was okay.
Yeah, you know, Brock was fine. But I had no empathy for him the way I did those 2 kids running out of Marley.
Oh, my God.
That was insane. That was it's rough that like I got to that episode where I was like, oh, Aaron is so wrong.
And Aaron knew he was going to kill them. He saw the vision because he could see the future.
My brother's watching Game of Thrones for the first time, and he's like, he just got to the Hodor episode, and he was like, that was just straight up some Attack on Titan shit.
Oh, no.
Like, yeah, honestly.
Hold the door.
Yeah, hold the door. Good thing his name wasn't, he wasn't saying close the gate. He would go by Colgate. Been thinking that joke for 4 years, and it's not funny. But what can you tell us about Mustang? Sorry.
Yeah, no. I think that's the main
good for
thing,
Mustang.
yeah.
Then we got Hawkeye's main squeeze, Lieutenant Reza.
You must
Hawkeye.
be Reza Hawkeye.
Reza,
and you are beautiful.
You want to know how I got these scars? My father was an alchemist.
It's amazing. You are way more interesting than Clinton Barton.
My name's Clint. I don't care. Neither do audiences. T'Challa. Who is Reza? Reza is a fun character because she's so cool. Her importance kept developing throughout the show, which I guess is any.
Yeah, she's Mustang's number 2. She's a skilled sharpshooter and his closest confidant, and she kind of keeps him on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. When Fuhrer finds out their plans and moves the troops away and keeps her hostage, I really started to sense what her importance is. That episode where they're talking in code.
Oh, when she reveals that Salim is Pride.
Oh my God.
Oh man,
Salim is homunculus. Oh, I got such chills reading that. So
or
good.
when she like tells Ed about everything that happened in Ishval.
Yeah, that was all her episodes. I'm glad she wasn't like a character to just make Levi's character cool. In many ways, she doesn't ever really add anything to Levi's character. Mustang's character. Yeah. She doesn't add anything to Mustang's character other than just showing that all of his troops really trust each other and they have a real camaraderie with one another. She is there to serve, like every other character in this show, serve a different purpose of storytelling in a corner of the world, which I love. It's like a big Zelda game.
The women in this show are awesome. I mean, from the white man's perspective.
Tell us, Milhouse.
Yeah, I think it's because the writer being a woman. A lot of these characters are really fleshed out, like Hawkeye, like Olivia Armstrong and Winry.
Olivier.
Izumi Curtis is a freaking legend.
She was one of my favorites on the show.
Her.
I loved every single time she was on screen. I was just like, God damn.
Maria Ross.
Amazing. Maria Ross was incredible too. Yeah, that whole Mustang thing where they rescued her because she was being falsely accused. So great. I love it. Sorry.
I was like, Maria, you're like Kevin Spacey.
He did say that, and that's when I turned my read receipts off because I was like, I don't know what to say to Brent no more. And he was like, yeah, like Kevin Spacey, Woody Allen, James Corden. I was like, wait, hold on. This list is getting muddled.
And Troy's like, no, I think you mean Ellen DeGeneres, R. Kelly, Dr. Bill Cosby.
Doctor. I did say doctor because otherwise people aren't going to know who I'm talking about. People are like, Bill Cosby, the beer critic? No. Huxtable.
Hova.
That's now 100 problems. And demonetization is all of them. Who else is in Fullmetal? I love your character breakdown because really every character, there's a lot, but like everyone serves a purpose. And I love how you mentioned they're also in like not order of appearance, but list of importance.
That's what I was kind of going for. Because next one, even though he dies early on, Colonel Hughes is a huge character in the story. He's Armstrong's closest ally, a high-ranking military officer, works in intelligence. He's a close friend of Mustang and the Elrics. I think I said Armstrong before I meant Mustang.
That's okay. I won't cut it out and I'll make you look stupid. But because you were jumping ahead to talk about our homeboy. I fell in love with this guy first time I saw him.
How can you not?
He was amazing. Major Alex Louis Armstrong.
Impeccable muscles.
The episode where he started crying. Oh, Alec brothers. It was like, I love this big softie.
I know.
He was so great. Who is Lieutenant Armstrong?
He's a state alchemist known for his strength and artistic flair, voiced by the legend Christopher Sabat, a.k.a. Vegeta.
Who is Vegeta?
Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I never saw Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah, so Vegeta's Goku's like main rival.
Cool. Yeah. That's probably why he had so much flair. And just knows what he was doing. On question of voices, because I'll be honest, I watched all of Titan on dub. I watched all of this on dub, save for the last episode of Titan, which I'm kind of glad wasn't available on dub because I finally watched it sub and the voice acting was just incredible. But
the Titan sub is great.
The Titan sub, when I watched it the second time, I watched a lot of it on sub. I just don't like to read on screens a lot. Like after a while, when like I can do, it's weird because I can do comics on Mac or on my iPad all day long. But like if something's moving and I got to read it, it starts to give me a headache.
It's like smaller, and then when you put the text too big, then it like takes off the scene.
Yeah, and it feels like I'm taking away from all those incredible animators that work. And I know it's like very Western of me to be making all these excuses, but like, where do you stand dub versus sub before you give me
I think I generally do dub. do.
Do-do. Yeah, do-do. Settle down, Beavis. Did you get doo-doo all over the microphone, Beavis? Yeah. No. I am homunculus. Did you bring TB? TB for my homunculus? Homunculus. Are you a homunculus, Beavis? Hey, baby. Come to homunculus. Sorry.
I just noticed today? Your Jar Jar socks today.
Oh, Misa have so many homunculi. I mean, Misa sock. I love you socks. Misa love the sock. Thank you, Rosanna. That's what got them for me.
Rosie got them for me.
That's
so sweet.
Yeah.
What were we talking about again?
I wanted to know what your thoughts were, dub versus sub, but you pretty much broke it down.
I like dub. Yeah,
me too. Speaking of the Armstrong family.
Oh, yes.
Not even the toughest Armstrong, because the toughest Armstrong would be
Olivia, who keeps it tight.
The
formidable leader of Briggs Fortress and Alex's sister, known for her ruthlessness and tactical brilliance.
She keeps it tight. She keeps her troops tight. She keeps the fortress tight. Everything about Armstrong.
She goes by Sir, too. You can't call her ma'am.
In the military, everybody goes by Sir, right?
And maybe. And
that's like I remember like watching Star Trek as a kid and being like, why are they calling like Ahura Sir? Like all these, and he's like, it's a military thing. In Clone Wars, they all call Ahsoka Sir.
Oh, interesting.
It's just a military thing. I guess there's no ma'am in there, and now it's just too late, and they haven't changed it. But I there's something I enjoy about that. Like not like a stay in your place thing, but like a just everybody's equal.
Totally.
And also, if you're in the military at this time period, you're probably not used to being around a lot of women, let alone women in a position of authority. And then by them calling her Sir, it's sort of just like we're all on the same page, and you're one of us, and you're also the leader of us, because they default to her quite a bit in this show.
Yeah, no, they totally do. And you kind of get the impression that like, Mustang is like who everyone's picking to take over. It really should be her.
She should have been Fuhrer.
She should have been Fuhrer.
Yeah.
Because it's her and Mustang that lead the rebellion. But yeah, it really should have been Olivier.
And then when Wrath showed up after the train blew up, she went, "It's a trap! It's a trap! It's a trap!" The biggest badass to me in this show, or I guess the character who I loved out of the ones we've talked about, Azumi Curtis.
Oh, I love Azumi.
And what's her husband's name?
Oh, what? Siegfried?
I just kept calling him Shrek.
Oh, I know. We both talk about the like one of the goated moments is him and Armstrong beating Sloth.
Oh my God. I texted you right when I watched that episode and I was like, this might be the best show I've ever seen in my life.
So fun. Oh my God. When they're doing like the handshake with the
And
muscles.
just boom, boom, boom.
Magnificent.
I walked on saying that for days.
Oh my, so funny.
So good.
But she is such a legend. She's the Elric's alchemy teacher, deeply skilled but plagued by health issues due to a human failed transmutation. That's what's interesting. She is always telling the Elrics, don't do human transmutation, don't do it. They think it's just her being a teacher. She's like, no, I went through this shit. Do not do it.
Do you think that's why they were so? Because at first you're when they're talking about going to see teacher, they're very afraid and they're very scared. At first you're like, well, if it's their teacher and they're pretty powerful alchemists, their teacher had to be pretty strict and pretty tough. Do you think they're really scared because they now know?
Well, I think they had no idea that she had done it, but they knew that was the one thing she told them not to do.
Oh, okay.
But I do think it was like a subversion of expectations with the teacher thing. Like you're expecting this teacher to be like this huge, like to look like Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like it's like a Yoda thing.
Yeah. Where she was like, baby, I cook. I cooked my insides, did I? Then is it
Van Hohenheim?
VHHOH.
V to the A to the HONHEIM.
V to the A to the hit his Xerxes.
Nice.
That took a lot of brain power. I can't believe I got that out.
That
Van
was
Hohenheim,
great.
Interesting character who you're very wary of because he bears a striking resemblance to somebody. Tell us who he is.
Oh, the Elric's enigmatic father, whose tragic past ties him to father. That's funny. Enigmatic father, and he's also tied to father.
Daddy.
Daddy. The Elric's enigmatic daddy, whose tragic past ties him to father.
Yeah, he's after watching the last like 10, 15 episodes, pretty much from his introduction on. Like when he's really introduced, you really feel for the guy, and you're very intrigued by him. I loved him.
And the second to last episode, when spoilers, he dies, and they like
Granny
the
goes up
montage
to
is
him.
just like, oh my God.
Yeah, he finally got what he wanted. How did he die? Because wasn't he immortal?
I think he was
sacrifice.
Yeah, so he was immortal because of the Philosopher's Stone. I think,
And he gave that.
I think it was burnt out fighting father because he like gets in front of the blast that's gonna like hit Izumi and Edward.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it.
So good.
I like Ling too, our next character. I love Ling.
Oh, how can you not like
He
Ling?
was a lot of fun. I
he's
didn't
so
like
much
him
fun.
at first, and then he really
too.
grew on me.
Well, once he bonds with Greed, that's
Yeah,
when, like,
it's really cool what they
Yeah.
do with him. And Greed is my favorite homunculus, I
Oh,
think,
yep.
after what he did. So Pride was very scary. We'll get to him.
Pride's the scariest.
Yeah, but like Greed, he had the best arc.
Yeah. Greed's my second favorite.
Who was your
Oh,
first?
I got to give it to Bradley.
Oh, that's a good one. Sorry,
Bradley
I'm jumping ahead.
Sutherland is such a legend.
Who the hell is Ling?
Ling is a prince from Jing who becomes the host for Greed, seeking immortality to unite his country.
And then he's got a posse. Who's he got in his
dude,
posse?
and they're great too. There's Lan Fan, who's his loyal bodyguard, fiercely protective, and Lan Fan's grandfather Fu, who's also
Fan.
Fu Fan.
Fu had a great arc too. I
Fu's
love Fu.
Oh, he's so cool.
I also love when I read it a lot on subtitles and it just come up as old Fu.
Old Fu. Dude, the fight with Fu and Greed and Buccaneer versus Bradley.
God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was probably that's up there with my top 3 fight scenes in this show. I loved it. That was great. Any of the homunculus fights I loved.
Yeah.
But then that's probably like number 2.
I think it is my number 2 fight.
Yeah.
The only one that I rank above it is Alphonse versus Pride and Kimberly.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
that
when
was
he's using
really
the stone and
amazing.
he's making the dragon.
You were hyping that one up for a minute, and then you were like, Alphonse has one of the best fight scenes coming up. And like, you watch anime and you go, well, it's anime. It's all going to be great fight scenes. So you really start to pay attention. And then I was watching that with the Brent glasses on, and I was like, yeah, this is incredible.
I know, and I almost feel like I shouldn't have spoiled it because I kind of came in just like I didn't expect it when it happened.
Spoiled or made it better. And Scar might have been. He's up there for me. I liked him a lot. Scar was and maybe just because of J. Michael Titus doing the voice. What was his name?
J. Michael Tatum.
J. Michael Tatum. I combined him and J.D. Mateus. I got half his name right for once. Who is Scar?
So he's an Ishvalan warrior. He's seeking revenge against the state alchemists, but eventually aligns with the Elric. So his people were completely wiped out by Amestries and the alchemists, and so he's just like, I got to take these guys down. He's essentially like the Punisher in this.
Yeah, the more you learn about him, the more you probably empathize with his arc more than anybody else, because they do a great job with him. And he also, Scar doesn't really want to be redeemed. He thinks he's beyond the point of redemption up until the last episode where he gets the offer to help rebuild Ishval with the half Ishval, when it's really like he finally sees purpose and sees himself fit to, and he has the whole, I've died twice now.
He's such a different role than Irvin too.
Yeah.
The actor crushes it.
Killed it. I loved it. Scar was up there for me. And then our last, I could guess, she's like good Gabi, even though I loved Gabi. Mei Chang.
Who Gabi?
On Attack on Titan.
Oh, yeah.
I love
like
Gabi. A lot of people hated her.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just really liked her character.
Yeah.
Mei is like a always cute, reliable, good character.
Yeah, exactly.
For the Mei Chang. What's Mei's
She's
role?
a young alchemist from Jing, so she's also searching for the Philosopher's Stone to help her clan. So her and Ling are from competing clans.
Yeah, and she we'll get to it, but in Qing they do alchemy.
Yeah,
alchemy.
So her, and her scenes, her like fight scenes are pretty cool, and like, I really thought she shined the most in that scene where Alphonse sacrifices himself for Ed, and she's like,
that was really beautiful.
And Al's like, I hate to ask you, but you're the only one who can do it.
Yeah, that was. I hate to do this to you, but I got to do this to you.
That scene had me tearing up when like Ed knows what Al is doing, and he's like, he knows he's sacrificing himself.
Pulls the thing out of his arm. He tries to go stop him. Yeah, that was a beautiful. As an older brother,
goosebumps.
Me too. I was just gonna say. Now, an incredible stack of protagonists. Who are our baddies?
Ooh, the baddies. So we're gonna start with the homunculi.
Yes,
they're the main baddies. So they're father's creations, each embodying one of the 7 deadly sins. God, these are cool villains.
Yeah, give it to him. Break us down.
We got Lust. So she's the manipulative and seductive leader of Father's assassins. So she, for the first portion of the show, she's the homunculi you see the most until Mustang fucking destroys her.
Completely evaporates her.
Oh my God, that scene is epic.
Ain't nothing left. Ain't nothing left of Lust.
I'm gonna make this woman disappear. Honestly, if you want to do that, just take on a boat with
put up your ass.
Yeah. So, she's gone. And
I was gonna say, what are we at time wise? This is the longest I think we got through without impressions. We're at 47 already.
Wow.
I love Fullmetal. This is great.
It's so good.
This is great. Keep giving it to us.
I know. Our longest episode right now is Titan. This might surpass it.
This might be up there with it. Give it to us. What else we got?
Next up, we have Gluttony, a simple-minded creature with an insatiable appetite and a deadly internal dimension. So Gluttony is really, he's kind of a stand for lust.
Yes, and Gluttony, very dumb.
Yeah, very dumb.
Very just scary though, because any character that eats people, I'm terrified of.
Absolutely.
Because I eat food and I know what happens when it come out.
And there's
a whole lot of pooping.
There's something almost
lot of pooping, Liz Lemon. I saw a homunculi. I'm gonna get a homuncul pregnant. Do they have any homunculus? Do they have any heteromunculus? I'm Brian Fellows.
That cow is uppity.
No, it's not. I'm Brian Fellows.
You know what sketch I love of his that no one really talks about?
Which one?
Spaceman Jones.
Oh,
Astronaut
my
Jones.
God.
Rocket?
Yeah.
I'm taking a rocket.
How come there ain't no Puerto Ricans on Star Trek?
Next up. The only thing I was going to say about Gluttony is there's also something like not sympathetic, but you almost feel bad for Gluttony. Like Gluttony's almost like a pathetic character.
Too dumb to know what he's doing, really. Right. And also, is like all of the sins at face value, you already know everything about them because of what they're named after. Totally. So, like, you want to empathize for Gluttony, but he's Gluttony.
Exactly.
He's gluttonous. Like our next guy, Envy.
I'll tell you, this guy I did not sympathize with.
I hated Envy.
I don't think there was a homunculi I hated more than Envy. I mean, Pride's close.
He looked like the Pokemon trainers.
Oh my God, Envy's such a piece of shit.
Who were the dudes that stole the Pokemon? They had Mewtwo.
Oh, Team Rocket.
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Team Rocket. He looks like a combination of Jesse and James.
I didn't know. I just got that, Jesse James. Wow.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I didn't know whether Envy was I guess it didn't matter. But I was like, what are you supposed to be? A dude? A woman? I don't get it.
Non-binary.
Non-binary. Yeah. He is homunculus. Yeah. I didn't. He was, and like I was so glad to see him go.
It was great, and the way he went to.
Yeah, such a pathetic little envious twerp.
Exactly. He's a shape-shifting homunculus with a deep hatred of humans and a love of manipulation. But you realize he hates humans because he's envious of them.
Yes, same as me.
And he kills it. Hughes.
Yeah. At first I thought it was Lust that was doing it, and then when he turned into Maze's wife. I was like, oh yeah, that's envy. That's some envy
because
stuff.
Hughes is a badass. Because even though he's not an alchemist, he can fight. Because Lust tried to kill him, and he gets Lust in the head with a knife.
And then he thinks he's got it taken. And also, he had the wherewithal to be like, nope, whatever's happening, the military's involved in this. I got to call my one true friend that I possibly can't get out. And that ends up being like, his Baru and Owen being burned at the homestead. That's Mustang's like hero's journey point. There's no turning back at that point, because everything, as much as he knows it has to be for a better country, it also, he's doing it for his friend.
He lost his best friend. I mean, you lose your boy. He's like, I'm gonna find the person who did this. I'm gonna fucking burn them alive,
and then I'm gonna fuck the body. I'm the fuck alchemist.
I'm the fuck alchemist. Yo, let me call Armstrong.
Magnificent
missionary. Incredible doggy style.
Love that. Then we got after Greed. Oh, your boy
Greed.
Oh, sorry, Greed. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Greed. Best homunculus.
Oh, easily.
Other than your boy.
And I feel weird putting him in the antagonist because he is really a protagonist, but he starts off as
an antagonist to like the last 10 episodes. I feel like. Even when he joins up with Ed and Al.
Yeah. Because he's kind of has his own agenda. He's obsessed with wealth and possession, but he later allies with the Elrics after rebelling against Father. And you expect that Greed is going to negatively influence Ling. Instead, Ling positively influences Greed.
Absolutely. And they're symbionts with each other. And Greed's one lie he ever told, and like how him realizing the real alchemy was friendship. It was just really, it was a great arc. Like they did such a good job at getting you invested in villains and then turning them into heroes.
Oh, totally.
Not Kylo Renning it at all. Then after Greed, we got your boy Wrath, King Fuhrer Bradley.
King Bradley, the leader of Amestries and a skilled fighter, created to be the ideal homunculus ruler. So Bradley was essentially created to rule the country by Father.
Yeah, what's Bradley's backstory? Give it to me one more time. Like, what's he was the last one.
Yeah,
right?
So he was one of these dudes. He was born a human, and like that doctor with the gold tooth, he like found a bunch of different humans that it was almost like the super soldier program, like who was going to be the Fuhrer, who was going to be the leader,
and he was working for Father.
Yeah, essentially this person is going to be a puppet of Father's, and the only one that was able to respond to the Philosopher's Stone being injected into them was Bradley, and he became Wrath.
Got it. Now I'm smart again.
And oh my god, his fight scenes, because his Ouroboros tattoos in the eye.
Dude, when they revealed that with the eye patch when he was fighting Greed, oh my god, that was amazing. Because Greed doesn't really remember his past homunculus lives. Like he kills his friend, and then when he's fighting Bradley, like he really just their beef. They do a great job with the story too, like having two homunculus fight each other. Because you're like, aren't they supposed to be on the same team? Why does he not like this guy? What's going on there? I loved it. I loved everything about it.
It was so good, and you kind of get why Greed would have his own agenda,
because his name is Empath. After Wrath, we got a Sloth who doesn't get a lot of playtime, but he's doing an important job.
Yeah, he's the one who's actually constructing the transmutation circle. Yeah. And then Pride. So Father's first and most dangerous creation, disguised as young boy Salim Bradley. So he's disguised as
was
Wrath's
Salim a kid? Like he was like a human first, and then they put.
No, I think Salim was just the disguise he wears. Like, remember when we first meet Father, when he's the dwarf in the flask?
Yeah.
And he can't move outside the flask without the flesh skin.
Right.
It looks like
So
Hohenheim.
they put that.
So the first homunculi he ever created was Pride, and he essentially creates this body for him that is Salim.
Got you. Okay, cool. Thank you for clearing that up.
Right, because his true form is the shadows. Like,
yeah, and at the end, he's like removed. He got the homunculus.
In the end, I think he becomes like, that part kind of confused me. I
he's
guess
a kid.
Salim,
yeah. That's why I was asking, because I wasn't really sure. I just watched that again because I was like, there's one loose end I'm not sure about here, but they never really show like them removing the homunculus from him, and he's just a kid.
Yeah,
forever.
I think he becomes reborn essentially as like a human. But they say that he is a homunculus, and that guy is like talking to like Bradley's wife, and he's like, "Hey, if he starts doing, like,
what we got to do?
Shit, we got to put him down.
We got to put him down like old Yeller." Yeah. I love your the other two characters you included, because they both. We don't see them a lot, but they're very integral to the show, and that would be Kimblee and Father. Who is Kimblee?
Kimblee. Ooh, Kimblee is a bad mother.
Yeah.
Ooh, a sadistic.
You shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth, chef. A sadistic state alchemist and mercenary who serves Father's plans. Oh, Kimberly is the Crimson Alchemist. So Kimberly's really the one behind the genocide of Ishval, like, because he creates explosions. He wiped out Scar's entire family.
And then when they asked him to give up his Philosopher's Stone, he killed his commanding officers or something, right?
And that's why he was in prison, not for the genocide, but just for killing the
No, we
commanding
like that.
officer.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can kill, but you kill on our time.
Exactly.
You're supposed to kill the other guys, though, not just the men, but the women and children, too.
And he's the only human that's like, I mean, there are humans that are working with the homunculi, but he's the only one we really see that's doing it.
And then he is also working for...
The main antagonist, Father, Daddy, seeking godhood by creating a massive transmutation circle using a mysteries. He was originally homunculi created from Hohenheim's blood. He seeks all knowledge in the world. Father's an interesting character. He's essentially Brainiac.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a great point. Yeah, he is basically Brainiac.
He doesn't get what humans bring to the table. He doesn't understand that he was always free. Being free isn't having all the knowledge in the world. It's being able to have these connections between one another.
It's being able to go to a Knicks game, commando, and not having security stop you from rubbing your dick and balls across half court.
And you wonder why Charles Oakley got thrown out.
I wonder why, because I don't even know who he is. Not a sports guy. Just watched 62 episodes of an anime in a month. And that anime would be Fullmetal. And you broke it down into 4 parts. What's part 1 that you got us breaking down for here?
Okay, so the introduction, the Lior Incident, Laboratory 5, and Mace Hughes.
Give it to us.
So the Elric brothers, Edward and Alphonse, suffer a tragic alchemical accident while attempting to resurrect their mother, leading to Edward losing limbs and Alphonse's soul being bound to armor. They become state alchemists to seek the Philosopher's Stone, hoping to restore their bodies. In Lior, they expose this guy, Father Cornello's fraudulent use of alchemy, igniting civil unrest. Their investigation into the Philosopher's Stone leads them to Shao Tucker, who horrifically transmutes his daughter Nina into a chimera, a tragedy that deeply affects the brothers. I'll stop there for a second because that's episode 4 that I was telling Troy about.
Those are the big 4 intro episodes.
And it's just like, this is just, you only meet Shao Tucker and Nina Tucker in one episode, and the impact it has on the Elrics is throughout the entirety of the show. I mean, you see at the end when Ed is talking to Truth, he goes, I'm just a guy who can't save a little girl.
It's also like their reminder, I feel like, of how far they won't go. They won't use a Philosopher's Stone because they understand, it's human life, and there's a lot that's being... And the eeriest thing for me that within that Nina episode is them studying so much, and then when their brains get so tired, they go and they play. And they go and they play, and they go and they play, and they burn down their house as a sign to be like, we're not kids anymore, we can't turn back. But when they're with, we don't even know they burned down their house at this point in the story, but when they're with Nina and her dog, we get to see them be uncharacteristically kids, even though Alphonse has like a very childlike voice. And then the last time they come back to the house before we find out what happens, it's completely silent. And then you start to feel their innocence like sort of ashing away, and then when the Nina thing happens, it's like a reminder to them, like, oh, we can't be kids, we got work to do. And this is also why we're doing this work, because we could do this, but we don't want to be like this guy.
Yeah, because throughout the episode, you're kind of sympathizing for Shao Tucker. You're like, this is a single dad, his wife left him, he created one chimera, and the chimera always just kept saying, kill me, kill me. And then when they see Nina and they go, holy shit, your wife didn't run away, you turned her into that chimera. And it starved itself. And it ends with, like, they don't know what to do. They just leave. They're so overwhelmed. And that's when Scar shows up. And Scar kills Shao Tucker because he's like, you're a fucking evil guy. And Scar doesn't know what to do when he kills Nina because he's like,
probably the right move.
Yeah, he's like, this is just, you're just...
Because there's no unbonding those two things.
Exactly. Like...
And the voice just, can we play? Can we play?
This is that's where Slater had to stop with the show.
Yeah, probably for the best that she's not here living that PTSD down.
Oh my god, I know.
But then what happens?
That's just when they start to uncover the stone's grim creation, human
the
lives.
The truth within the truth.
So during their
my Dr. Marco, the truth.
That is a good Dr. Marco. I didn't include Dr. Marco in there, but I'm like, yeah,
because his face was discombobulated, and I just can't look at myself anymore. The truth within the truth.
Dr. Marco, it would be incredibly painful.
Do you feel it, Marco? Where's Marco? I'm in charge.
Do you feel it, Marco? That's funny.
Sorry.
So yeah, they uncover the stone's grim creation, which is human lives, during their probe into Laboratory 5, and they vow never to use the stones to get their bodies back. They're like, we can't use this. These were made by sacrificing humans.
I loved the killers in Laboratory 5. The brothers.
Barry the Chopper?
Barry the Chopper. He was cool. And then you had the brothers that Ed was fighting. Those fight scenes were really cool because also that's like the first time you see someone else like Alphonse, you know, like where their soul is clearly bonded to something. And you're like, what's going on here?
And it's like a Theseus' ship kind of thing. Like Alphonse is like, am I really me?
Dude, it was so, and like Alphonse is such a Alphonse is such a cool character, and I just love like little echoes within the armor. You can hear the sound hitting little corners of the armor. You feel cold when you're hearing him when he talks about like first thing I'm going to do when I get my body back is eat some Granny's soup. Like it just everything about him was so cool, and he's such a great cool to Ed's fire.
It hits you totally, and it hits you in the feels so much when he goes, "I can't sleep. Whenever you're asleep, I'm wide awake."
Yeah, then you just start thinking it's a great like little. It's like scooping out the bread in a bagel almost. Like, once that's there, you're going, well, what else could I scoop out? What else is happening with this character? Because then every time you see Alphonse on screen, you're like, he hasn't slept in what? 5 years. He hasn't eaten anything. He's a little boy, and he's one of the most powerful alchemists and greatest hand-to-hand combat fighters ever. And then it makes you go.
He puts the world ahead of himself.
Every time. He sacrificed himself for his brother.
He could have gotten his body back, and he decides not to take it.
That scene was crazy. That when they're by the portal of truth, amazing, so great. I'm getting ahead of myself. Where are we at here?
But yes, so they vow never to use the stones. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Mace Hughes uncovers a conspiracy within the military, but he's assassinated by the homunculus Envy before he can reveal it, leaving Mustang and the Elrics grieving and more determined. Simultaneously, Scar, the fallen warrior whose family was murdered during the Civil War, seeks to kill the state alchemist and destroy Bradley and the government. So he starts with Shao Tucker.
And this is when you start to empathize with Scar.
Yeah.
And he's not just some... Because they don't really tell you anything about him. His name is Scar. No last name. Nothing in his pockets but knives and lint. And he seems like this kind of crazy serial killer dude until you start... And then you think, okay, he's a religious zealot with all those episodes. You know, that episode with the pastor and then what he did with Shao Tucker. And then when you find out about his family, you go, okay, I'm listening now.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's Killmonger-esque villain.
The only thing that like he really does where you're just like, man, it was
dance.
Was like
I was waiting for
frankly Scott's like my favorite character.
Hour 20 into a pod. That's the longest it's ever taken Travolta to come out.
Dude, I can't like help it. I mean, when I see those arms that Scott's got with those tattoos, I mean, it's just like, oh my god, I want to make him my wife, and by wife I mean husband.
She's like, pow, out.
Wow. But yeah, and then also what's interesting about Hughes is Hughes figures everything out.
Yeah.
He figures out the transmutation circle. The reason why Amestries is expanding is to create this giant transmutation circle, and he knows there's someone in the military behind it high up. He doesn't know it's Bradley, but he knows it's someone, and that's why he doesn't make the call to Mustang.
Yeah, and
from the
it's also just like you think this guy's way too an important character. They've done so much exposition with his wife, with his wife, with his daughter. There's many interesting things about Hughes, and.
There's a person on Iron Fist when you're like, there are many interesting things about Hughes. He's got a daughter. He's gay.
There's many interesting things about him.
Yo, what was that about him being gay?
Yeah, he's a bottom, but he tops like he's sideways. That means
magnificent
muscles. And
his power bottom for the ages.
Magnificent organ. But his death was like they're not playing. It was almost like a Game of Thrones death. Like, oh wow, you can't get too attached to these characters. And then there's not like really any other than the antagonists who like die that you're like, oh man, or like you lose a character. I guess Fu at the end, or
and Buccaneer. Hohenheim was old. I mean, he's really the one. Like
you also knew Hohenheim was gonna have to go at some point. You're looking at all the characters.
Probably Greed.
Greed.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
But I would honestly put his death as one of the most tragic deaths in all of anime.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a Titan death that actually hit me. Maybe Sasha.
Yeah.
Sasha's death was tough.
Sasha was rough. And who was the scientist woman? What was her name?
Oh, Hanji.
Hanji. I loved her character, so it was really hard for me to see her go, but she had the most badass death.
That's the thing. Like, Irvin's death, too, was so legendary.
The best part of Irvin's death is just when he's slapping the thing out of Levi's hand to give it to Armin. Yeah. Oh, so good. Damn, I'm going to watch Fullmetal again, then Titan for the third time.
Even Kenny's death.
Oh my God, Kenny Ackerman, baby!
Kenny the Ripper.
Where do we leave off in this?
That's the end of the first episode.
Okay, and then 2. The Briggs Fortress in the Ishvalan War. What's happening here?
So this is interesting because up until this point, Mustang and Hughes are really the mentors to the Elrics, and it really shifts to Mustang. So it starts with Mustang. He demonstrates his power. He destroys Lust, one of the homunculi involved with Hughes' death. And up until this point, we know that Mustang is powerful, but we really see his power unleashed here, and boy, is he powerful. So the Elrics eventually venture to the Northern Briggs Fortress, which is commanded by the formidable Olivier Armstrong, seeking insights into the nationwide transmutation circle. They also learn of Amestris' orchestrated conflicts, which includes the devastating Ishvalan War, which was manipulated to create the Philosopher's Stone. So this entire people was completely devastated just so they could have more sacrifices for the Philosopher's Stone and to create this transmutation circle. I mean, it's so fucking brutal. Even her supporting characters, too, like Miles, who's kind of like the more positive version of Scar.
Yes, and how they end up coming together at the end. The only thing I hate about Miles was his sideburns.
Yeah, I didn't like the
Went
sideburns
up too close to the eye, because then I started thinking, am I going to have to shave up by my eye now?
Yeah, Buccaneer, who just...
Buccaneer had the coolest death out of all the Briggs
God.
soldiers. Yeah, and he was determined to go out that way, man.
He made sure to take out King Bradley.
King Fuhrer.
Next up, who was also a big part of this arc, known as Wrath, is revealed as a homunculus, leading the nation, embodying the sin of Wrath with unparalleled combat prowess. Simultaneously, Ed and Alphonse encounter Greed, who desires independence and material wealth, contrasting with the other homunculi in their unwavering loyalty to Father. Greed's initial defiance leads to his capture and reabsorption by Father, only to resurface later by merging with Ling Yao. These revelations deepen the brothers' understanding of the homunculi infiltration and the sacrifices made during the Ishvalan genocide. Scar really continues his war against the government, and it's revealed that he killed Winry's parents in a state of confusion when they tried to help him during the war. That's a great scene.
I was just going to say, one of the most powerful scenes in this show. It's really just like a tail gunner coming face to face with the victims he was shooting down while he was in the heat of combat. And how they get to Winry and how they sort of bring her along in their morality crusade. Everything about that.
And Ed won't let her do it.
Yeah, that's what I loved about it. He was just like, this is not what your parents would have wanted. And then Winry grows into who her parents are, more or less, after that, just being like, I'm going to take care of whoever I have to. And to be an automail mechanic is sort of a thankless crusade. And when she's not there, her presence is very missed. So you get a sort of glimpse in who she is as a person and how in touch with humanity she is based on that. But God, that scene, you really get everything there. And also who's witnessing it too plays a lot into, like, because I think had the brothers not been there, she may have gone ahead with it.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's just so interesting to see it play out like that, because it's also the thing about Scar, not to excuse his actions, but it wasn't murder.
Excuse him.
Excuse me.
We're pro-zealot.
But it wasn't like murder with her parents. It was really... he was so disoriented. He basically wipes out. His entire family's been destroyed. He's got like these arms now that have alchemical powers there.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of an accident. Like,
yeah, it was dope. It was intense. Then is that the end of 2?
Yeah. That's
and then 3, we got Father's Plan and Promise Day. Part 1, my favorite part of the show, when everything is laid in ground and now you get to see the back half. How's everything we just did get us to where we're going?
Oh, so everything builds off the episodes before it. It's so good. Again, no filler. So as the Promised Day approaches, the Elrics and their allies uncovers Father's plan to activate a nationwide transmutation circle intending to achieve godhood. So we learn that Father was originally a homunculi called the Dwarf in the Flask. He manipulated Hohenheim into helping him create Philosopher's Stones by murdering the entire population of Xerxes while giving him and Hohenheim immortality.
Another crazy scene.
Oh my
God.
God.
Episode, the first homunculus, I think is what it was called, right?
That might be my favorite episode of the show.
That was crazy. God. That was up there with the Dina, with the Fritz reveal in Titan with Aaron's dad. That was crazy. I loved it.
It was so cool.
I loved it.
And just seeing Father in that form, like...
it was pretty scary just seeing him as a monkey. And then he gives Hohenheim the... I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead.
No. What were you going to say?
No, he just gives Hohenheim the gift of mortality.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Hohenheim didn't want that.
Yeah.
And he's a barely literate slave whose best friend has been this magic potion in a bottle, and now he has the power of the sun in the palm of his hand and doesn't know what the hell to do with it, and is afraid to touch his sons and love his wife to the fullest extent because he doesn't want to lose them or turn them into the monster he is. And that's kind of why he steps out of town. No, go ahead. Do you think? Readjust your beanie, dog. You can't have you looking sloppy up in this motherfucker.
Sloppy.
You got it. There you go. There you go. Then you just put one on your head there. And then turn it around there, Brad. You got it. Hey, just flip it. There you go. There you go. And then do the other side. There you go. There's that degree in college you got there, Brian. Good job. Are you working on that? Working on switching the headphones around? Working on turning a bunch of slaves into a philosopher's stone and then get in touch with humanity?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, you're doing a good job. I'm sure you're gonna have a good time. Where's those 7 deadly sins you casted from each other? Want to get closer to humanity, but took out the 7 factors?
I don't know why you criticize your Stewie. Your Stewie's like spot on.
Because I hate myself.
So,
but what did Father do?
So what Father did is, he gave himself immortality. He gave Hohenheim immortality, something again that you said Hohenheim didn't want. And we learned that the entire nation of Amestries was just created to enact Father's master plan of creating this giant transmutation circle. And again, he created the homunculi to serve him. Hohenheim is overcome by his guilt over Xerxes, so he's traveling the world seeking to stop Father. And again, we also have Bradley play a much bigger role here. His dual identity as Wrath becomes a significant threat, and it's showcasing his lethal skills and his dedication to Father's vision. So Bradley's like, he's the leader, he's the guy everyone is respecting, and he's a puppet of Father's.
Yeah, it's like finding out Darth Vader's got a boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much like that.
Yeah.
And also, I would say Bradley's a more interesting character than Father.
Yes, yeah. Bradley, because you finding out that he was a human turned homunculus is, and then when you get to the thing with the gold tooth guy and you see all the other experiments there and you see the super soldier comparison, but like for evil, it's like if the USSR got a hold of the super soldier serum or the Nazis back then. It's just Bradley is a great link pin to all things that he sort of connects once they start bringing the plot together.
And when he's dying and like Lanfan's asking him, she's like, did you even care about your wife? And he's like, that's the only thing I cared about. Like, that's the only thing I had agency over.
Yeah.
Like, I loved her, and she doesn't need to know any words from me because she knows that she knows I loved her.
Reverse Omni-Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. It is reverse. He's kind of like Wilson Fisk. He's a monster,
yes,
but he loves his wife.
Yeah. Do you think Father could have been holding her over his head?
I don't think so. I think Father was just kind of like,
do whatever.
Yeah. Like, as long as you do what you do, choose whatever.
Kind of cemented him in the highest position of power too.
Yeah.
So what more could he have wanted at that point? Yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens? What do we got after that?
So Greed, who's merged with Ling, he's starting to experience an internal conflict between his nature and Ling's honorable intentions. And we have Olivier and Mustang. They're beginning to lead the rebellion against Bradley and the government. The Elrics, they confront Hohenheim, learning of his connection to Father and gaining crucial insights into countering the transmutation circle. Then we get a big reveal. We finally learn who Pride is.
Who is Pride?
Pride
is RuPaul.
That's Pride is RuPaul. Pride is what's the guy? Make It Work. Tim Gunn.
Oh yeah,
Make It Work.
Yeah. That was a good Tim Gunn. I hate to tell you, that one's been in there for a minute. Huh, Johnny T?
Kevin kept that in in the holster.
Where'd you keep it?
The gun holster.
Just so you reach back and say "hole." That's all I saw.
Yo, what was that about hole?
Tim Gunn. Top Gun.
So Pride is revealed as Salim, Bradley's son, who pursues the heroes along with the genocidal alchemist Kimberly. And it's such a crazy reveal because throughout, like, we've met 6 of the homunculi. We don't know who Pride is. And Salim is just presented as this super fan of the Elrics. Yeah. And then when he's revealed as Pride, he is so scary.
Yeah, scariest homunculus.
So scary. He eats gluttony.
Yeah, he eats gluttony. And even when Hohenheim comes to face with him, he's like, I'm imagining your power can't go beyond these. Where the light? Oh shit! My battery's gonna die soon. Oh shit! Where is it dead? Okay, all right. So let's see how far we get before I have to swap it out.
Okay, let's do it. So Scar begins to ally with Ed and Al, and he's really seeking to destroy Kimberly, the man responsible for his family's death. And one thing I like, he never gets his revenge on Kimberly.
Yeah,
which I think helps Scar kind of grow as a character. And then we get Father's plan and the Promised Day Part 2. So the Promised Day unfolds and intense battles as the protagonists confront the homunculi and Father's forces. Mustang enacts his revenge on Envy for killing Hughes, but is stopped by Ed, Scar, and Hawkeye from being consumed by his anger and spares him. Envy responds by committing suicide and defeat. King Bradley displays formidable prowess, challenging Mustang and his allies, but ultimately meets his end in a fierce confrontation with Scar, symbolizing the fall of Amestries. Ed defeats Pride, and Father reveals his plan to wipe out Amestries and absorb truth.
Your handwork is incredible.
Thank you. The embodiment of alchemy to gain all knowledge. Hohenheim activates a counter-transmutation circle to weaken Father as the Allies engage him in battle. Greed's character arc culminates in a selfless act. He sacrifices himself to weaken Father, revealing his true desire for genuine friendship rather than power. The Elric brothers face Father in a climactic battle where Al sacrifices himself to get Ed's arm back, and then Ed ultimately sacrifices his alchemical abilities to restore Al's body. Father is defeated, and the Philosopher's Stone cycle of human sacrifice is broken. Hohenheim, his Philosopher's Stone burnt out, dies happy knowing his sons are safe. In the aftermath, Amestries begins a new era under more transparent leadership, with Mustang aiming to rebuild the nation. And the series really concludes with the Elric brothers embarking on separate journeys, embodying the lessons learned about sacrifice,
One
redemption.
goes to the east, the other to the west, right?
Exactly, and the value of human connection. Right. Al goes to the east, Ed goes to the west.
Right. Yeah. Truly, I mean, just one. Thank you for dropping this guy. This show into my lap. Final thoughts. Give me any.
Just an incredible show. I mean, how everything just comes together, and I can't get over how good that finale is. Just like when Al is sacrificing himself, and I said before, and Ed knows he's doing it, but Al knows it's the only way, and it gives Ed the boost to take down Father, and you hear everyone cheering for Ed, and you hear like Mustang going, "Go Fullmetal," and like and you hear Armstrong
go Fullmetal, go.
Static Shock.
Truly,
Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
We've said before on this podcast the way Troy and I bonded, in addition to him picking me up after I would just bomb on stage over and over again in 2018, is
threw my back out. He bombed so much I had to pick him up.
Is we both have a love of traditional Western comic books, Marvel and DC, and while Troy is an enormous Star Wars fan, I am also an enormous anime fan, and so I recommended my favorite anime to Troy, which was Attack on Titan, and after he finished that, I recommended my second favorite anime to Troy.
I went to Europe this year, and I spent the majority of the time watching Attack on Titan in a hotel room. I did no sightseeing. And it was my second time watching it, and I never watched really any anime before other than the Boondocks, and I just dove right into it head first at like midnight after a spot. I was eating Taco Bell. No idea what the show was about.
No idea what you were eating from Taco Bell.
No idea what I was eating, and then when Dina Fritz,
the hell's a chalupa?
What the hell is a chalupa? Yeah, I know the Chihuahua. I know the Chupacabra. The two mate.
Oh yeah, my shits are gonna be bloody.
Cage has been shitting Diablo sauce across Vermont.
It's the most important thing to do is to shit, eat some more Taco Bell, and then shit again. That is the miracle of Hanukkah.
I went to a diner. I said, "Give me fiber." They said, "How much percent?" 100% fiber for 100% burning. I have a D+ rating from the Shaman toilet paper country.
This is why I am sponsored by Preparation H.
Take it and you will be detectable. That's a different kind of H. A Titan I got right into. Fullmetal, you introduced me to. I took like a 6-month anime break because I was like, I don't know if any show is going to compete with Attack on Titan. And then we watched this. You remember what episode we recorded and then we watched this after?
Oh, that's a great question.
It was the day before the election.
Oh, I think it was Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, that's right.
Because we mentioned it in the episode.
Yes, and we watched this, and then I took the train back to go see my mom the next day, and I watched like probably 13 episodes.
Oh, no, it was Penguin.
It was Penguin.
That's what it was.
Yes. Yeah, because I was editing that Nerdline that week. And I watched like 10 episodes of this on the train, which is how you got to watch anime if you're not into it. Like when I'm watching an anime, I like to get myself all comfortable, have my snacks, not have anything to do, and just fully commit myself to it. I try to give myself a season for a TV show. With anime, I'm like, you gotta just keep watching until you're exhausted. Yeah. And then I'll step away, and then I'll go back into it. And this, I watched this in like a month. I loved it. I started it, and I could not stop it. It was like a great
so fucking good. Yeah. It made me so happy how into this you got. Like, and if anyone's curious about my top 5 favorite animes,
give us your top 5 favorite animes. Because I texted you last night. I said, what anime should I watch next? And you said this one, then this one. Then I got like a list of 10. And then I was like, wait. I can feel my virginity growing back. And then you like ran into my house with your arms out. I'm always animated. And so what would you say your top 5 anime? Would it be 5 to 1?
Yeah, let's
give us
do
your
5 to
1. Okay, yeah.
So number 5, which is the next anime Troy is watching, which is Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a more recent addition to the list. I freaking love JJK. The action is unbelievable. Studio Mappa, which also does Attack on Titan, telling the story of Yuji Dodori, Megumi Fushiguro, Nobara. These are 3 students that are sorcerers aiming to rid the world of curses, and it's just... I don't want to give anything away because it just takes so many twists and turns, and it's freaking incredible.
How many episodes?
It's still going on. It's 2 seasons.
I love that because now I can be caught up, and then when it comes back, I'll be able to watch it with everybody week to week.
It's 2 seasons and just an incredible prequel movie.
Love that. Yeah. 4.
4 is Bakano. This is so hard to find because they took it off Crunchyroll. They took it off Hulu. It's an incredible anime. It's set in 1930s America.
So a lot of anime is set in the early 1900s.
Yeah, and this one's specifically set in America, so you really got to watch the dub. Like... Don't watch the sub because, like, the dub does a great job. J. Michael Tatum, who we love as Irvin.
Commander Irvin and Scar.
He freaking crushes it in this show. He's so hilarious. It's all about just these terrible people. Some of them are mobsters. Some are alchemists. Some are immortals. Some are just thieves. They're all converging on a train. And it's just hilarity ensues. And it's just so fun. And just the more you watch, the more you learn about the different people on the train and how they overlap. It's only 16 episodes. And it's unbelievable.
I'm in.
It's so good.
I'm gonna go. My anime viewing is gonna go by what your list is.
Oh, I love that.
I'm gonna put that in that 4. What's your 3?
3 is Monster.
Monster. What's that one?
Monster is a wild anime in the sense that it's like not a traditional anime. Like there's nothing fantastical about it. It's this. I think I've told you about it before. It's all about this neurosurgeon, Dr. Tenma, who's in Western Germany in the 80s. And he's given the choice between saving a 10-year-old who was shot in the head or the mayor of his town. And instead he saves the 10-year-old and his career is completely sidetracked.
But does he get cable for life?
He does not get cable for life. But then all of a sudden, the higher-ups that sidetracked his career mysteriously die, and then he kind of rises through the ranks of his hospital. And then it cuts to 10 years later, and that kid that he saved turns out to be a serial killer. And he was actually the one that killed the higher-ups, and he's like the worst serial killer in Germany. And so Tenma feels so much guilt over saving this guy. So he's tracking this guy down, Johann Liebert. And it's just such a game of cat and mouse as Tenma's pursuing Johann. Johann's pursuing Tenma. Again, there's nothing fantastical about it. It could have easily been a drama like Breaking Bad. It just happens to be in anime format. Oh my God, it's incredible. It's on Netflix.
A lot of action in that? A lot of fight scenes? Or
that's the thing. Not a lot of action at all. All storytelling. All just like building, introducing characters, and you're going to be like, why am I following this character? And then you see how that character overlaps with Tenma and Johann. Oh, it's fantastic.
Can I guess your 2 and 1?
Yeah. I mean,
2, Fullmetal?
2 is Fullmetal.
Why is Fullmetal number 2?
I think Fullmetal is the greatest anime ever made from start to finish.
Wow.
I think it is a perfect anime. Whenever you see the list of top animes ever, you generally see Fullmetal Brotherhood.
Where does hentai rank?
Hentai is, I mean...
I just got into anime. I heard that's a really good one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. but sorry. What were
So Full Metal Brotherhood is generally at the list of top animes ever, along with Cowboy Bebop. And while I think Bebop is excellent, it's not in my top. Whereas Full Metal is such a fun story. It combines action and world building and incredible characters and just sentimental moments, and just throughout it you're just like rooting for these brothers so much. Every time you're just like, you're so invested in Edward and Alphonse.
I was rooting for Wrath, personally.
You're rooting for Wrath, of course. Well, Bradley can get it. He keeps
they
it tight.
couldn't make that guy sound more evil.
Oh,
King
Wrath?
Fuhrer Bradley.
I know. And
real name, Wrath.
I know. What was the giveaway? I think it was the Fuhrer.
The name of his sin being Wrath.
I mean, I was kind of rooting for him when he took down the tank.
That was cool. Yeah, his researches. We'll get to that. And then your one's
got to be Titan.
Titan. Now, Titan is a bit of a controversial manosphere anime. I think it's because it's like Rorschach or like anything we talk about in toxic comic universe. It's misunderstood. It's like that line in Sopranos where the guy from Mike Milligan goes up to Christopher and he's like, a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was just misunderstood. That's how I felt about Titan, where he was talking about Godfather 3.
Right.
And that's how I felt about Titan. I was watching it being like, I've been a lifelong Star Wars fan. Eren Yeager is basically just Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. I can watch this and go, well, you're not supposed to root for these guys, but you can empathize with them, and you can look at them and go, okay, everybody in that show is a product of the system that controls them, and nobody's ever really right. And what I loved about both shows is anytime I talked to you about them, you'd be like, I can't talk to you about this until it's over. So, like, what would you say is the greatness of Titan? Why would you rank it as your number one?
I think it's because as much as I love Fullmetal, and Fullmetal does something which Titan doesn't, it sticks the landing.
And it was written by a woman.
And it was written by a woman.
Yeah.
But does it?
No Nazi apologism.
Exactly.
Other than King Fear
passes the Bechdel test. Whereas, like, I know Titan, we got so much crap for this, but I stand by. It's such a stupid law. Thank you for wiping out 80% of the world.
And also him just crying over Mikasa. Yeah. Like, that's supposed to be the scene where you realize, oh, I shouldn't like this guy.
Exactly. But it's the highs of Titan are so freaking high.
Oh, my God.
Just like from the twist, the fact that, like, Bertold and Reiner are, like, revealed as
the twists are done so well.
It's done so blasé.
Like, yeah. Like, there are points where, like, I thought I was jumping to conclusions because the twists were just done so well.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, the fact that, like, the Reiner Bertold reveal wasn't even, like, the biggest reveal. I mean, the whole Marley Eldia thing is unbelievable. And Irvin's speech alone, I mean.
Yeah, we love that.
Oh, God.
Even though he's basically, who's the guy that, he orchestrated the Holocaust? That's basically Irvin.
Oh, Adolf Eichmann?
Yes. That's basically Commander Irvin.
Wait, how?
I don't know. I saw it in a YouTube essay about 6 months ago. Don't ask me to back it up with information. Just nod and keep going. Okay. All right, you caught me on my shit. Sometimes I just say things. I think you're smarter than me and you'll figure it out.
I'm just trying to because I love Irvin so much.
I saw it in an essay.
Not a big, believe it or not a big fan of Adolf Eichmann.
Slater's not here to back him up, but
Slater's like he's had some merits.
When he was organized.
When he was vacationing in Argentina,
he got a tan.
Got to give him credit. He got away. He got away. Lived on his own for a bit. Then they caught him.
Good at building train.
Gilbert Gottfried actually had a fantastic bit about Adolf Eichmann. Because Adolf Eichmann was the #1 war criminal that the Mossad was pursuing because he escaped to Argentina.
Right.
And then they captured him. And they put him on trial in Israel in a glass case because they didn't want anyone to assassinate him. And Gilbert Gottfried just goes, "Boy, what a performer that Eichmann is. Wow, what an act. Can you imagine Houdini doing that? Putting himself in a glass case in front of anyone. Right there in front of everybody. Say what you want about him. Showmanship." That was a great Gottfried. I just know him from the Affleck commercials.
How do you lose all this money? By tweeting about the Japanese tsunami.
Oh, I want to get that.
And Fairly Odd Parents.
Maybe I should reconsider my life choices.
That was way better than mine. I love that.
I'm watching yours to try to get the tone. I was just watching Gilbert Gottfried on the Superman episode.
Which episode was he on?
Oh, he's Mixiesterfolk.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To your point about we were talking Titan and how it has a lot of World War II allegories, and a lot of anime I find does, because we sort of dropped a whole radioactive bomb on them in the 40s, and then they had to rebuild their culture on top of that. They were going to come out a little buzzy, and they Japanese culture didn't have the luxury American culture did, whereas like we were the superpowers, we were able to go out and do these invasion wars or do these retaliatory wars and then come back and make propaganda films in a country that wasn't riddled by crop dusting or being rampaged by atomic bombs or what have you. A lot of the themes that I know, one of the great things that I loved about getting into anime was seeing just how different cultures would tell stories, not just Americans. And I noticed that the theme, like the way a lot of American movies and TVs up until about 2-3 years ago were post 9/11 movies. A lot of anime seems to be post World War II or what happened, because World War I and World War II were pretty close to each other. So, and like countries like that were just absolutely ravaged and embarrassed. Is there a correlation there? Like, is there also any real world correlation or allegory for Fullmetal into?
It's a great question, because Fullmetal essentially takes place at the beginning of the 20th century. Yeah. And like you feel like there would be that World War I allegory. But for me, the whole war in Ishval felt a lot more like, particularly because it was coming out in like 2001, 2002, 2003. Felt a lot like the war in Iraq.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah. I felt very much like everything about it, just the false pretenses of the war and the ethnic cleansing and the complete over superpower and nobody, and it also being a conspiracy within the government and then a shadow government who's really controlling that government. Oh, Dick Cheney probably. What do you think of this, Vice?
Cheney is father.
Yeah, Cheney really is father. Yeah, where he's just like, how many times are we going to let these homunculi come into our country, sir? I think we need to show Ishval as a sort of philosopher's stones of mass destruction. Get in there and really do something. Well, you get on that horse, Cheney, you better ride it. You get in there, you tell Colonel Mustang to go in there and tell them they got weapons of mass destruction. That'll help us invade. In this case, Colin Powell would be Colonel Mustang. Except Colonel Mustang had a spine.
Right, that's true. Cold, yeah. Were there any black people in oh, there's that general.
Oh, yeah, the one who was a bitch?
Yeah.
The guy in every anime, who has an American voice like this? Like the dude from Attack on Titan.
Exactly.
Not Young Capone, the other one.
That guy was awesome.
Yeah, I loved him. I just love saying his name.
Oh, yeah.
I loved hearing him in the dub. Young Capone! That's been my new sex noise ever since. Getting into Fullmetal was cool because right from episode 1, I felt like I pretty much understood what the whole show was about. Between these two brothers trying to get their bodies back and them setting what the thesis statement is. And every episode is kind of like the Hulk or Kung Fu, which is pretty much the same show.
Yeah. Where
they're going off on this journey. They think they found this thing that's going to help them overcome their obstacle. That thing gets taken away. They got to go hitchhike and go to the.
Oh, you're talking about the original Hulk with like the David Banner Hulk with
David Banner with Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno,
yeah.
Kung Fu, that's
Bill
a fun
Bixby.
show.
And Kung Fu. Those two shows were basically the same show. And every episode of this, this was infinitely better. And like, I always love when you tell me the anime has no filler episodes because I'm like. Sign me up. I'm in it.
That's why I love Bakuno. 16 episodes. That's it. And
I can't wait.
It does more in 16 episodes than most shows do in 200.
And what does this show do in 64? Why don't you give us the breakdown of Fullmetal?
Oh, yes.
Out of the 2 animes I've seen so far, this is the second best, and I can't wait to jump into Jujutsu Kaisen. Thank you for making me obsessed with this show. I can't wait to talk Jujutsu Kaisen and to see what the true believers recommend for further anime. And whatever ones you have to recommend, please send them along. After we're done with the next episode, we're going to watch probably some JJK.
I know.
On top of it. But thank you for giving me this show. Thank you for my Funko Pop. It's everything about it is just a day of gifts. And
of course.
And you gave me a Funko Pop. I must give you these compliments. That is the law of equivalent exchange.
Nice. Guys, you should all watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Just like us, you will be cheering for the Elric brothers.
Full-come Alchemist.
Full-come Alchemist.